Hello, guys, and welcome to another edition of Pink Sock Reacts, Reviews, whatever you want to call this show. This is the show, it's kind of like a sister show, where we sit down, we talk about either movie, music, albums, whatever we choose. We need to do music again, Greg. But we talk about whatever, and today we're going to be talking about Little Nicky. This is such a classic Adam Sandler, Happy Madison, whatever you want to call it, film.
Yeah.
Came out in 2000, which was before the movie that we reviewed last time, Grandma's Boy. But this movie has an all-star cast of Adam Sandler, Harvey Keitel, Rhys Ifans, Tom Lister, which is known as Tiny Lister,
Yep.
Rodney Dangerfield,
Patricia
Alan Covert, Peter Dante.
Patricia Arquette is the chick that falls in love with him.
Any relation to David Arquette?
They are. That's his sister, I believe.
Okay.
I
Also,
think. Have a look.
Also, we have Jonathan. I'm really bad at pronouncing some of these names. We have Reese Witherspoon. We have Robert Smigel, who plays Beefy.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you know this or not, but do you know who Robert Smigel is?
No.
Robert Smigel is actually most known for being Triumph, the insult dog.
Okay.
You know that little dog that has the scar in its mouth and it insults people on the street and shit?
Yeah.
Same guy. We also have Dana Carvey. Lovitz makes a guest appearance. Kevin Nealon's in the movie, who, if you're not familiar with who that is, he's in a lot of Happy Madison films. He was in Grandma's Boy. He played that yoga guy. We also have Quentin Tarantino makes an appearance. Michael McKean.
Yeah, he was my favorite.
Michael McKean, which, if you're not familiar with who Michael McKean is, he plays the lead singer of Spinal Tap.
Okay.
Blake Clark is in it, who plays the Slinky Dog in Toy Story. I think that's most of the cast. There are other guest appearances, but let's break the movie down, talk about it a little bit before we do get into that, though.
Well, David Arquette and Patricia Arquette are related, so there you
go. All right. So let's get into some of the numbers before we jump into the movie. This movie is a cult classic now, but it was a box office bomb. I don't know if you're familiar, if you know that or not. $80 to $85 million. The movie is a cult classic now, but it was a box office bomb when it came out.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't receive that well.
It didn't receive well at all. And most Adam Sandler movies, it seems, was kind of like that. The budget was 80 to 85 million. The box office was only 58 million. So they didn't even earn their money back, but in time they did. How ironic, though, the poster. How weird is that to see after all these years?
Yeah.
The poster has the Twin Towers. Am I lagging, Greg?
No, a little bit.
Okay, because on my end, I'm not, and you're not, so I'm not sure what's going on. But anyway, let's jump into the movie. The movie, I'm going to kind of like go through it from beginning to end. I might miss a few scenes. We'll talk about it at the end if I did. But pretty much the movie starts off. You have this character played by Jon Lovitz in a tree watching. And the kid walks in, interrupts. He calls and is like, "Hey, tell your mom that it's a horny bird in the tree." And the mom looks and he's like flapping and he falls and he goes.
That was the creepy part, that one, man.
Yeah, that was a pretty creepy part. He fell from the tree because the kid hit him with a slingshot.
Yeah.
And he went to hell and he's greeted by the gatekeeper. And the gatekeeper, who is portrayed by the gatekeeper, Kevin Nealon. He's the guy that played the yoga guy in Grandma's Boy. He's greeting him, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to meet a horny bird in hell." And that bird grabs him and starts humping him. And then you hear him say, I deserve this. I deserve this.
Yeah.
And before we jump into more of the movie, I'd like to give a little bit of shout outs. But before that, make sure you hit that subscribe, like, and share button. Share to all your friends or enemies, whatever.
Get enemies.
Let the sin begin. But I'd like to give a shout out to Royce in the house. I'd like to give a shout out to Rachel's Ghost. I'd like to give a shout out to In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie, Dabs with Dads, AC Slade's Catfight Coffee, Calabrese's podcast. If you've got a podcast, let me know. I'll put it in the description. All of them's in the description below.
We'll make you famous.
We'll make you famous. You'll make us famous. We'll all be famous together. But that guy gets that horny bird humping him to little Nicky, who's jamming in his room to
shout out the devil. Oh no. Running with the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say shout at the devil, but I know that ain't right.
Yeah, I know.
The bass line bump, and then little Nicky's jamming. He ends up having to see his dad with his brothers because his dad has been ruling hell for 10,000 years, and he gets to choose who gets to rule for the next 10,000 years, because I guess their cycle is every 10. Well, he ends up meeting up with his brothers. His one brother, which his name, I'm not just going to say the brothers, his brother Cassius, who's played by Tiny Lister, ends up brain fucking him and has him punch himself in the nuts. His dad ends up having him, ends up saying, what did I tell you about that? And has him hit himself, knocks him across the room. Now, his dad has to choose who the leader of hell is. Little Nicky knows he ain't going to get it because he's too nice. His brothers are. His father decides that for what's best interest of hell, he decides that he's going to continue to rule hell for the next 10,000 years because neither one of them, none of the three, have the perfect balance between good and evil. Little Nicky's too good, the other two are too evil.
Yeah.
So that upsets the two brothers. They end up jumping through the gate of hell, freezing the gate of hell, and we find out that due to the gate of hell being frozen, no new souls can get in, for Satan is going to die, pretty much. He's falling apart. And so little Nicky goes to hell with this little flask, and he has to get them in the flask. You'll hear my really bad little Nicky the whole fucking show. But he goes to Earth to find his brothers and gets killed by a train. Like that. He gets told to stay away from that kind of stuff. So he goes back, he meets Beefy, who's a talking dog.
Yeah.
Who's showing him around New York. Ends up helping him get an apartment, which the apartment is not owned by, but is being rented out by, one of the rooms is being rented out by a gentleman who's an aspiring actor. And Beefy ends up pissing on his I Heart acting mug or his rug. The character's name is Todd. That was his name. Sorry, I just watched this movie and I'm awful with names. But Todd is a weird guy. He's an aspiring actor, but he's not as weird as a character we'll later on meet by the name of. He don't have a real name, but we will call him Nipples. We will talk about him later. Nicky ends up walking through New York. He ends up passing out on a rock. And this guy, Witherspoon, ends up stealing his flask and all of his shit. And this is when we kind of meet these two metalheads.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, he's the son of the devil. And he ends up waking up from his sleep. They tell him where this dude went. He ends up getting his flask back by creeping out the fucking dude that stole it.
Yeah.
Goes back to his apartment. He gets it explained to him and out about what's happening, like with his brothers, until they start watching the news. We see his one brother is now a priest because we find out earlier that they can possess bodies and all that fun shit. So the priest is telling everyone to let the sin begin and all that fun shit. And the other one's possessing, I think, the mayor of New York.
Yeah.
And he's talking about God ain't done nothing for me. And like they basically are trying to create hell on earth since they can't rule hell in hell. So they're trying to rule hell on earth through possessing bodies and corrupting people. Nicky ends up falling in love with this girl that he runs into. She ends up going on a date with him. However, hold on, my phone's going off. People know I have a podcast and they just fucking blow me up. Anyway, sorry, I get these weird messages. I got this one today where this girl she didn't even add me on Snapchat. You know, people can add you, they can still message you. I had a sugar mama before, and I'm like, no, why? I don't just fucking ignore people. I get curious. But anyway, he falls in love with this girl. They go on a date, but he ends up talking to her and saying, I want to touch your rose bottom, and like says all this weird shit. You find out that his brother possessed his body. Well, didn't possess his body, but mind fucked him. Like they can control mind.
Yeah.
And telling him to get in the flask. He said no, and that was pretty much that interaction. He gets all pissed off at him because he's in love with this girl, but he goes back to his apartment, and this is when the two brothers are really wreaking havoc. One brother is now head of the... I'm making sure I'm in the right chronological order of the movie. Yeah. He ends up possessing the head of the police department. One that's little Nicky is a mass murderer. And they show on the TV all this crazy shit that Nicky did, but it's Tony Montana from Scarface.
Yeah. With the really bad, with the really bad
CGI.
Like it was so terrible. It's like photocopying how I would do it.
The CGI in this movie is not the best. It is from 2000.
If you watch it now, it's not the best, but back then you couldn't really tell.
You couldn't really tell. Nicky's dad keeps falling apart in every scene we see him in. Whenever they broke the gates of hell and it froze, the gatekeeper was trying to explain why he didn't stop him, and he grew tits on his head.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that. I would love to have tits on my head or on my face, wherever you want to put them. I wouldn't mind it. But Tithead makes an often appearance in the movie, and the reason why I brought that up is because we do where Rodney Dangerfield comes out, and he's actually the son of Satan. He's Lucifer. Not the son, but the father. Sorry. The father of Satan, Lucifer. And he's like, go back to your room, guys. Like, can I take him with me? And the whole movie, he's like playing poker and shit and like strip poker with the dude. So there's a really fun sequences through the movie that's kind of not really related to the story, but it kind of shows like what's happening to how he's falling apart and shit. Little Nicky is now accused of murder. So he's just roaming the streets and saying, hey, you're nice, blah, blah, blah. And he's doing all of this because he ended up reconciling with that girl. He ended up meeting up with, going up to the top of her like steps, knocking on her window. The whole romantic 90s, 80s shit where you knock on their window, you're like, hey, whatever, because there's no cell phones. So you knock on their window, he gets maced, falls, he ends up floating back up to her, runs into nipples.
Yeah,
dancing like
that was fucking weird. That
yeah, he's like dancing. He's a cool character. He makes several appearances. Is he the same dude that does that in Waterboy?
Maybe.
I might have to look in that.
I'll have a look while you keep on.
But he is nipples, so like he reconciles with her, and then he's walking on the streets. He's roaming the streets. Some Asian couple, like an Asian restaurant, was like, "You grab him, I'll punch him in the dick until he passes out." And Nicky's like, "No!" And he starts running. He starts fucking running away, which I thought was a cool thing. He gets cornered in an alleyway, turns into a bunch of little spiders, ends up getting away. He ends up seeing on the TV about how he's being accused of murder. Fast forward, a lot of crazy shit happens. We can get into those scenes whenever we start discussing our favorite scene over the plot. Nicky ends up finding out that his brother possessed a basketball coach or referee, one or the other, for the Globetrotters, and he's trying to get the Globetrotters to lose.
Yeah. For the first time in 30-something years.
That character is played by Dana Carvey.
Yes, I was just looking at that.
He ends up showing up. Nicky's telling him that I will throw the ball if he makes it. So it's going to kind of like calm everybody down. He throws the ball. The coach catches it, who's possessed by Cassius. He ends up doing like a basketball game or whatever. And he's like, "How did you beat me?" And he's like, "The sacred drink that Dad has."
Yeah.
And he goes to drink it and he gets trapped. So the only way that he can save Hell, and I forgot to mention this earlier because I must be dumb, is you have to capture both your brothers in that flask and have the flask in Hell by midnight.
Yeah.
He had a week to do it. So he has his brother captured. Now he has to get his other brother. Where the hell's he at? Well, he's the head of the police department. Well, Nicky said that he's going to go to Hell to see what his father would do in this situation. So the two metalhead guys who are now friends with Nicky, they befriended him during this whole shitstorm of events because they claim their loyalty to going to the police department saying, "We know where Nicky's at." And they lead them to the police department, which makes you think they're backstabbing mother, but they're not. They end up going to the police department. They lead them to the subway.
Yeah.
That is when the other brother, Adrian, that's when Adrian shows them that he's not the cop. He's actually a brother of Nicky. Fucking, we have Peter. He's like, "Does that mean, like, do we still get the money since you're not the head of the police department?" And he ends up finding out that the other guy that's with Peter is actually Nicky.
Yeah.
He comes out of the body. The guy's name is John, which is kind of weird because John and Peter are the actors' real names. But but John ends up being revealed to be Nicky. "Come on, get in the flask." They both end up fighting after Beefy shoots an arrow out of his dick hole into the leg. Fun fact, Beefy in the movie Little Nicky is actually the brother of Adam Sandler's real dog.
Really?
Meatball.
Okay. That makes sense.
Meatball was the best man of Adam Sandler's wedding. Fun little note. But they end up fighting. What? Sorry?
That's cool.
They end up tussling. Adrian and the love interest end up fighting. And they fall into the subway. A fucking train's coming. Nicky throws her out of the way and sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
Adrian goes to Hell. But his dad isn't restored because all three brothers have to be there, and Nicky didn't show up after dying. Having Tithead twist his nipples because he knows something that the rest don't. And then you have Rod, and he's like, "Stop it, I'm getting turned on over here."
Yeah.
But he ends up revealing that if he is not on the throne, whoever's sitting on the throne by midnight is the new Satan. So Adrian throws the lips and the arms because that's all that's left, and he sits on the throne. we find out that Nicky actually went to heaven because he saved a life. Heaven, talking to these angels, which is very interesting fact to tell you, Gorak.
Yeah.
We know who one of the angels is.
Yeah.
It's Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
You know who the redhead angel is?
Red. I was just looking it up.
Adam Sandler's wife.
Really?
Yep.
Were they married then?
Yes, they've been married for a while, I do believe.
Is it Laura Herring?
I do believe they were married at the time, and they're
Still together now.
still married.
Yeah.
But Adam, little Nicky's being told about, like, who was your mom? And he's like, my mom was a goat or some crazy shit. Like, I forget what he said. And she's like, no, your mom was an angel. I'm your mother. Kind of like Star Wars shit. I am your mother. So that's why he's so good, because he's got good in him. So she teaches him no longer how to just release the evil, which we'll talk about all the ways he released the evil after we're done skimming over the movie, because it's all fucking hilarious. But he learns how to relate. So he ends up finding out through the whirlpool thing that they have, kind of like a magic ball, that hell is starting to emerge from New York. And there's a party going on. And here at that party, Adrian has everybody kidnapped, and he's going to kill them all and take their souls to hell, pretty much. So little Nicky shows up to Earth, and he's like, release the good. And he's like, has Popeye's chicken because he loves Popeyes. And he's teaching them how to eat. He has like little bunny and all that stuff. Fun note, though, the newer versions of Little Nicky does not have the scene where he's like, you put it in your mouth, you chew, and let the meat go down your throat. The original version of the movie has him bite one of the demons biting the head off a bunny rabbit. That's not in the modern versions of the movie.
Yeah.
But he ends up aligning himself with the demons. They're now good. He shows because everybody loves Popeyes. And Adrian scares away all the little demons. So it is now Nicky versus his brother Adrian. And he has this little flask. Now, when he was in heaven, his mother gave him this magic ball, and she was told, you'll know when to use this. So Nicky doesn't know when to use this ball, but it's in his pocket. So he's fighting his brother. He ends up getting grabbed by the demons that didn't betray Adrian. Adrian grabs, fucking puts it up to Nicky's mouth, and now Nicky and his brother, because Nicky grabbed him, end up in the flask. After much fighting, Nicky comes back out of the flask. He ends up kissing. Yeah. He ends up kissing his love, but it turns out to actually be Adrian.
Yeah.
He reveals himself as Adrian, turns into a bat, starts flying around. She ends up picking up the flask and is like, remember the butterflies, and butterflies come out, and Nicky comes out. He's like, I don't know what to do, minutes. And he grabs that magic ball and throws it down, and the Prince of fucking Darkness shows up. Ozzy Osbourne shows up, grabs Adrian, who's a bat, bites his head off, spits him into the flask. Nicky ends up getting killed by his love by a rock, but that's presumably the last time we see them together because he's going to hell. But when he goes to hell, his father gets restored, and his father said, listen, I've got hell. Your mom's got heaven. I've got middle. And he's like, those butterflies die, but his love to his wife. And then we kind of get a fast forward sequence. Nicky's on heaven. Him and her fall in love. They have a baby. They're married. They're happy.
Yeah.
The two metalhead guys, they end up buying Iron Maiden's airplane. Was it Iron Maiden's airplane? I think it was. They end up buying Iron Maiden's airplane on like eBay or some shit, and they end up crashing it because they forgot to buy a pilot.
Yeah.
And they end up in hell.
Yeah.
Satan and Nicky's mom end up falling in love again, but they couldn't do it. But did you see this gave me goosebumps every time I watched the movie. Did you see the little ode to Chris Farley in the movie?
Yeah.
It said that she and him broke up. However, she fell in love with her yoga instructor, who was Chris Farley.
Yeah.
So like Adam's like Farley's in heaven with her, and yeah, it was cool. Um, and what's his name became like some Broadway actor. Like it was. I wanted to see a sequel after seeing all that. You know what I would love to see?
It would have been nice back then to make a sequel, but I don't think it wouldn't happen.
You know what they could do?
What's
They
that?
could do a sequel and do what they did with Paul Walker and have a CGI Chris Farley.
Probably. Could probably
But
do that.
that's pretty much the end of the movie. I'm going to go through some scenes that I missed because I kind of.
Laura Herring, she wasn't married to Adam Sandler.
Not at the time?
No.
Because I know one of the angels was his wife. I thought it was the redhead.
No.
Yeah,
Adam
the
Sandler-
redheaded angel is Adam Sandler's wife.
In real life?
Yeah.
What was her name?
Jenna.
I have a look on up on.
Let's go through some of the scenes. Let's go through some of the scenes that I missed because I missed a lot of great scenes, and I know people are going to call me out on it. But the way the show works is I quickly skim over the movie, and then we talk about what I missed. This is live, and I'd like to see somebody else do something like this. What are some of your favorite scenes, Gorak, before I jump into it?
The opening scene was pretty funny.
Is that your favorite?
It's just the whole movie is great, but what I really loved about the movie as well was the soundtrack.
Soundtrack is great. School of Hard Knocks was in it.
Yeah, friggin' POD, how it opened up with Hard School of Hard Knocks. Such a great song.
Did you know that the music video for that was actually advertising Little Nicky?
Yeah.
If you watch the real music video, Peter Dante's in it, John's in it, like the cast is in it.
Yeah.
So my favorite scenes, and we didn't mention this, and I don't know why I didn't, because I was kind of quickly skimming over it. The Hitler scene was hilarious.
Yeah.
And actually, I forgot to mention this towards the end of the movie. When they have that little flask, they're like, what are you going to do with your brothers? And he shoved them up Hitler's ass.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Thank you, Rachel. For all the Little Nicky fans out there, I do apologize for some of the scenes I missed, but I am getting into them now. The scene was great. Shoving a pineapple up his ass. That was fucking hilarious.
It kind of looked like a fucking maid.
He was dressed like a French maid.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
It was fucking...
And Tithead was ridiculous. Adam Sandler movies were ridiculous, but they were fun ridiculous.
Like some of his movies weren't really, apart from Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, but like some of his movies aren't really like high rated. But like if you watch them like now, like they're just classic.
He was popular amongst the SNL fans, and I do think Adam Sandler is amazing. He's a cult classic film. Like all of his movies are cult classics, but some of them didn't do well in theaters. And I think that's why he went to Netflix.
Yeah.
But here is some interesting side notes. Whenever he was in heaven, there was a golfer there by the name of Chubbs. That is the same Chubbs from Happy Gilmore. That's the same exact Chubbs. He was also the guy that...
So was this after Happy Gilmore?
This was after Happy Gilmore.
So so that will be kind of linked. Like his character would have been linked because like he died.
Yeah, the two movies are connected.
Yeah.
And I love the little ode to Chris Farley at the end. That was awesome. It gave me goosebumps then. It gives me goosebumps now.
What about Henry Winkler when he got stung by the bees like twice?
That was hilarious. Fucking stung by bees. That was golden.
Yeah. Sorry, Henry.
Sorry, Henry. Did you know that the original actor for Satan was replaced in this movie?
Oh, he was the original character.
Dustin Hoffman.
I actually thought it might have been Dustin Hoffman or Sean Penn playing that because it
Yeah,
looked very familiar.
it was Harvey Keitel that ended up playing Satan.
Yeah, but I always thought it might have been Sean Penn because it kind of looked like him.
During the Harlem Globetrotters scene, Dana Carvey actually twisted his ankle.
Ah, okay.
Or broke it. He broke his ankle. He had to walk on crutches. Patricia Arquette did not audition for her role. She actually was just given it.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. She did well.
Ozzy Osbourne was not the only musician that was supposed to not being the only one. Marilyn Manson was supposed to make a guest appearance as well.
But didn't?
He had conflicting tour schedule.
Oh, okay. He would have made a good appearance for that movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just like as a little cameo.
It would have been really cool for that. Britney Spears was considered the role of Holly, Nicky's mom.
I think I might stick with Rhys Witherspoon on that one. She was good in that.
But so, Gorak, these movies connect, it connected, I just drew a blank, Happy Gilmore. This movie connected with Happy Gilmore, but it kind of also connected Waterboy.
Ah, okay.
Because the townie, you can do it.
Rob Schneider, yeah.
Yeah, like it kind of.
Was it him? Yeah.
Connected. Yeah, that was Rob. So what would you rank this movie?
I'll probably rank it a 6.5 out of 10.
By the standards of 2000, I would give it a 7.5 or 8. But the standards of now, because of the CGI and stuff, I'd give it about a 7.
Yeah.
It has an amazing story. It is hilarious. Has an amazing cast. And I'm not going to judge the eye because that was 2000. Like, the fuck you expect?
Yeah. You could tell how bad the CGI was back then. Like, if you watch it now, because obviously everything's like remastered in HD and stuff.
Yeah.
And everything's touched up, so you can actually tell. But like, if you watch it like back then, what was it in 2003 or 2000, whatever it was?
It was 2000.
2000, so like 23 years ago. You probably couldn't tell. Can't believe it's been that long though. It's crazy.
Jamel. Should they have made a sequel? Because I do this with movies that don't have sequels, and I will ask the chat too. Comment below. If you are not in the live chat, comment below. Did Little Nicky deserve a sequel? And should it have a sequel now, or should it have done it then?
I reckon they shouldn't have done it then. I don't think they could do it now. Maybe they could. The CGI and stuff would be a bit better, but
like they could do it now, like 25 years after the events. His brothers are trying to do shit. Didn't Lister die?
Isn't Carl Weathers didn't Carl Weathers pass away? Because
most of the cast is gone now, I think.
Yeah. Maybe.
But I love this movie. 7 out of 10. I wouldn't have gave it like you a 6.5, but the music.
The soundtrack was badass in his song. It was really good.
Yes. So, Gorak, Monday we're going to be talking about products. And I ordered a product online that is no longer, it was discontinued. I already said what it was on Dabs with Dad, so I'll say it here too. I will be opening live on the show the original 1992 version of the kids' toy Balzac. and it's going to be fun. But this toy is a toy that you can't bust. I'm probably going to blow one of them up on this show, but I'm going to go to Dabs with Dads at 9:30 p.m. because I'm going to help them get views too, and see if we can bust one of them because I got two of them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see if we can bust a Balzac. So we're going to go over to Dabs with Dads and we're going to try to bust my Balzac.
Yeah, man, you're going to bust those balls out.
But guys, tune in Monday at noon Eastern Standard Time to watch me play with my Balzac. That didn't sound. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
There's just a standard topic. Standard topic on products. I did buy another horror mask.
That's awesome, dude.
Collection. Yeah, you want to tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Art the Clown.
Art
the Terrifier clown mask.
Clown, dude, that's fucking awesome. You need to get the Grinch because they just made a movie with him. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed Little Nicky. I hope you enjoyed our little review. I know I was kind of all over the place because I do it caffeinated. I love you guys. If you enjoy the show, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. I made a post for a kind of a advertisement for the show. Share that. Get it around. We need to get this show to 500 or 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year in the merch shop. I'm going to be giving away a shirt and a mug. When we get to 1,000, I'm going to do another giveaway. We're going to be huge, but we can't do it without our loyal Pink Socketeers help. So we love you guys. Thank you all for all of your support and kindness. And as always, see you Monday at noon. Live long, rock hard.
Spread the suck.